I don't need to get into all that. The
No.
gritty details.
No.
All right. Then we'll just start. Here is Carol Connare. We're pleased to have her. She's the editor in chief of the Old Farmer's Almanac. Only the second woman to have the position. They have only had 14 editors in chief ever. That's a lot. Because they have been in existence since 1792. This is incredible longevity. Congratulations for that, for having the job. How did you end up with the job?
Oh my goodness, it's a dream job for me, really. I had worked for the company before on a different publication, and really, just after I'm a gardener, I mean, that's like the basic backbone of what we do. I'm a weather nut. I love history. I'm out there like with my little Seek app trying to find every flower or plant when I walk around. It's a very slow walk. And so,
Did
yeah,
you
I
say
think
Seek? Is the app
yeah,
called Seek?
yes, but also your phone works too. But
Okay.
my dog doesn't like it because I stop more frequently than he does, I think. Because I'm like, "What is that plant?" If I'm somewhere new. So it just fits into all my interest areas. I had a long relationship with the company, and like you said, the Old Farmer's Almanac, it's 233 years old. Like, it's just the coolest thing to be a part of. It's also a big responsibility. I don't take it lightly. It's a backbone of our company, but we've been around for a long time because we listen to people. We listen to what our readers want.
And it's not just for old farmers, right? That
That's
all
right.
farmers of all ages are allowed to look at this thing. What is an almanac?
An almanac's just really a calendar. And, back in the day, that's what you kind of had in your house, right? You had like the Bible and your almanac. They were regional. Maybe if you were lucky, like near a city, you'd have a little broadside or something. But 1792, it wasn't like a lot of info at your fingertips. And
Yeah.
so libraries weren't even like a thing. And so, you know, um, our Robert B. Thomas, our founder, was like, you got to have some fun in there. You need the weather. You need to know how to grow because, like, every other person's a farmer. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think he also felt like you got to have a smile on your face too. That's important. And it must have worked for him because he was editor for like 50 years before he died. And
50
he,
years.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
He's
he's
really
the Lorne
skewing.
Michaels of almanacs.
Exactly, exactly. Healthy dude. So
Good for
we take
him.
his
That's great.
advice. We
As you
take his
should. Do you
advice.
have a lot of competitors in the almanac space?
Not r We have a few. I mean, I would not call them they don't, like, directly compete because 'cause they're still regional, like, there's one out of Maine who's been around for a while, and one, Harris's, I think, out of Pennsylvania area, and there's probably others, but for us, we cover, all of North America in terms of we do a Canadian edition, your friends, close friends where you are, and, yeah, it's just kind of this idea that we've been around for a long time, never stopped publishing, and I think we just have a unique mix compared to the others. It's not just, useful information.
Yeah. I like that your main competitor is the Bible.
Right?
That's pretty solid stuff there. You're in a good position if that's the case. I feel like a lot of people give Benjamin Franklin credit for the Farmer's Almanac. And as far as I can tell, he did not start the Old Farmer's Almanac, but he did have Poor Richard's Almanac and kind of invented the genre. Is that fair?
Fair, totally fair,
Okay.
even fair to good. Um, there were some almanacs in merry old England when our some of our forefathers landed on the shore here, but not like we have them. And so definitely Ben, good old Ben, he is the father of really this American version, of the almanac. And so we credit him. He's on our cover, just with Robert B. Robert B. Thomas thought a lot of Ben and really felt like that was the idea. He followed in his footsteps, and he thought the bar was set very high with Ben Franklin, and so he followed suit.
Then you honor them appropriately. You
Hmm.
crank out so much content every year. How do you balance keeping the writing and presentation fresh with also like maintaining and honoring those traditions that make the Farmer's Almanac a mainstay?
Yeah, we pluck a lot of live chickens. No, um, How do we do it? We have a team of editors. They're amazing. I work, I'm just kind of like the person who gets in trouble if something goes wrong, but there's six of us really, or and then lots of great contributors. I think, we have our weather team. I know we'll get into the weather is amazing, and they use our same formula from way back when. But yeah, I think it's just this editorial team. We really span some ages and interest areas, and I feel like when we're curious about something, we really listen to that and we think we're just kind of ordinary people. And like, that's probably going to be of interest to ordinary folks like us.
So just six of you just churning out all that content. That's impressive. Well, like you said, the Farmer's Almanac, it's chock full. It's got gardening tips and astronomical information, some funny stuff, recipes, trivia. But your bread and butter is the weather forecasting. Do you still strive to be 80% accurate? Is that the goal?
We strive, which is still like, even if we get it half the time, we're better than the short range forecasters. I mean, it's Looney Tunes thinking you're gonna like long range forecast for every region, like 18 regions in the US and 5 in Canada and like by the day. But yeah, so what are you want to know like what our secret sauce is?
I guess. What's the formula? How do you do it? Because here's,
So
I feel like there's this misapprehension that the Farmer's Almanac is all about sort of archaic and quaint, almost old wives' tales. But in actuality, your forecasting is very modern and scientifically driven, right?
yeah, I mean in
Okay,
Bozeman and Big Sky, have you guys seen the aurora borealis?
we
It's been
have.
really, yeah. And so that's sun storms. That's magnetic storms on the sun. And so those go in 11-year cycles. And we just hit the peak of 25. That's why we're all kind of seeing these far south auroras, and even there's sometimes outages. And so Robert B. Thomas believed, he was an astronomer, that the sun storms super impacted our weather. Not like there's a sunstorm and then we have a hot summer. It's not obviously that simple. But
Right.
basically, he would layer. It's so cool. We have early charts, like these infographics that you can see our earliest meteorologists and climatologists like looking at these stacks of data. They're in pencil. Of course, now we have computers. Yay! And so, it's basically that. It's like looking for those patterns over time in those areas, like on top of each other. And that gets pretty accurate, believe it or not. We're all seeing crazy weather, right? And so that's harder to predict some of those like extreme rain in short amount of time. So 2 years ago, we were super close on like 100% in lots of places for temperature, but we were really off on precipitation because of some of those events. So our weather team tweaks things, and the hardiness zones just changed. Half the country just went into a half warmer zone. Canada and the US just released their new normals for temperatures, which are, of course, all warmer, basically. And so, yeah, we have to take all that into consideration along with the storms on the sun.
Okay. Well, with all that said, here's the $1 million question. What kind of
Yeah.
winter are we going to have here in the Gallatin Valley this year?
Yeah. So you're really far west. So I was looking at our region. So we have you in the Intermountains, but I looked at all of Montana. It's kind of interesting. We have this snow swipe going right down the middle of the state. So I feel like we're calling for a warmer winter overall, and we were calling for cold snaps in early to mid January and early to late February. But where you are, early November too. Um, let's see, mid and late January and late February for the snowiest times in the plains, and to the west where you are will be an above normal snowfall with additional snow in mid March.
All
Jazz
right.
hands, jazz hands. It's winter. Winter's coming.
Fairly typical winter is what you're describing then,
Yes, and I think
right?
that's actually good news. I don't know about you, but
Sure.
I'm in for winter all the time. So
If we end up with a nice big snowpack, I think everybody will be happy. That's basically what it comes down to. I know your head may have moved on to next year's almanac already, but I have a big confession to make that I have not read this year's almanac cover to cover yet. So can you give me the Cliff's notes of
Sure.
what are some of your favorite little nuggets that are in there this go around?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you have a whole year to read it, and we're proud when people tell us they're in their bathroom or in their barn. We got a hole in the corner, so you can stick it wherever. And I think that's kind of the fun of the almanac. It's like, yeah, you might want to go look at what your birthday weather is. Like I always do that, and and then I might go back to a story later. Which is I think the idea. Like again, Robert B's like this thing has to be entertaining for 12 months. So, um, one of my favorite stories is called "Snug as a Bug in a Hug," which really began as a title. I think I found like a picture of bugs hugging, and then we all were the team. We were like, wow, hugging's out of favor after the pandemic. Like we're all elbow bumping and like that's horrible. And so what is it about hugging? And of course, with consent. But the idea being that actually a 20-second hug lowers your cortisol, which we know is good for everybody. But also like, what's the longest hug? How do people hug? Like this sort of over or like waist to waist. So we have all that in there. I love that one. Just kind of something simple, but we're like, let's figure out like the hug.
That is great. A 20-second hug. That's a long hug though. You are
It
really
is.
sustaining a hug at 20 seconds.
It's kind of like my friend TJ and I always do this because he loves that fact too. And around 15 seconds, you just go, ah. You should gotta try it. It's crazy.
It's just I can't imagine a dinner party where I hug everyone for 20 seconds upon my arrival. That seems insane.
You'll go hungry.
I'm gonna have to play that, or I'll read this story. It's snug as a bug and a hug to people before I give that hug. Otherwise, I think folks would find me absolutely insane.
Well, for a party trick, you could just like tell people to spontaneously hug and then just see which category they fall into, like the cross-armed one. Like there's differences between genders, like kind
Oh,
of
for
what's more
sure.
prevalent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that bro hug.
the
That's
bro hug, right?
yeah. Couple pats on the back, boom boom, and you're out.
Yeah,
If you hold a bro hug for 20 seconds, you may get punched in the face.
right. What? Even if it's 20 below, that's probably a good thing.
I mean, maybe if you need the body warmth, then that's a whole other issue.
Okay.
Here's a question from my brother-in-law. Okay, does
Okay.
the Farmer's Almanac still advocate for the elimination of pennies and switching from a paper dollar to a coin?
Wow, he's really up on his history.
Uh huh.
Um, I'm gonna say that we do not advocate for that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're getting out of that business of advocating for a certain currency. There is something called Moon Coin, which really intrigues me. It's a Bitcoin that's like you actually have to make paper to save it. But everyone at work
Oh
was like, "We're
wow.
not talking about Moon Coin, buddy." So
I don't have any more questions, but tell me if I missed something. And if not, then I have a little game we can play before I let you go.
oh no, I could just talk about the almanac for hours. So whatever.
Oh, I'm sure. There's
That's
plenty to
game.
talk about. That's a beefy book that you got there. It's impressive. Though as a writer, know that you got my respect for what you guys continue to
Thanks.
do year in year out. This game, this dumb marmot game, because we have to do one for every episode.
Okay.
It's obligatory. Farmer or postman. Okay, and
Okay.
the the premise is that wisdom comes from all sorts of different places. So I need you to tell me, where did the following quotes come from? Did they come from the Old Farmer's Almanac or fictional post office worker Cliff Clavin from Cheers?
Okay.
All right. Are you familiar with Cheers?
Yes, I am.
I would hope so. All right. Where do you live, by the way? Where are you right now, Carol?
I'm in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Did you see a lot of foliage this
Yes, it
fall?
just came down. I think I was saying we had snow this morning, and so really it's been beautiful until the last
Okay.
couple of days.
Very nice. Not far from the fictional bar Cheers, then. Here we go.
Right.
The first quote: the harp is a predecessor of the modern day guitar. Early minstrels were much larger people. In fact, they had hands the size of small dogs. Is that from the Old Farmer's Almanac or Cliff Clavin from Cheers?
I'm gonna say Cliff on that one.
That is from Cliff Clavin on Cheers. Very good. See, it's not so hard. It gets a little harder as we go. All right, how about this one?
Okay.
Taxes are like golf. You drive hard to get to the green, and then you get in the hole.
Cliff.
That's the Old Farmer's Almanac.
Woo!
Ah, stumped her already. How about that?
Woo!
That's
Oh,
exciting. It does sound like a Cliffism, though, right?
it does.
Totally does. It's because you guys are doing a good job. You're competing with the comedy writers now. All right, how about this? Some people develop a wishbone where their backbone should be.
Oh, that's the almanac.
That is very good. All right, nice job. All right, we're almost done. We're halfway through. The
Okay.
tan, the tan became popular in what is known as the Bronze Age.
That's going to be Cliff.
That's Cliff. All right, very good. All right, a couple more. How long a minute is depends on which side of the bathroom door you're on.
I'm going to say that's the almanac.
That is the almanac. All right. I feel like I'm not going to get you anymore. All right, last one. Everyone in the Swiss Army owns a Swiss Army knife. That's why no one messes with Switzerland.
That's Cliff.
That's Cliff. That's pretty funny. I like that one a lot. that was Farmer or Postman, our little game. Thank you for putting up with
That was
me.
great.
You have a lot of fans here. There are some members of the staff who buy a Farmer's Almanac proudly every year, give them as gifts. So thank you for what you're doing. My mom has put up a Farmer's Almanac calendar on her wall ever since she moved to our farm 15 years ago. I think at one point it was a farmer's calendar. Now it's the gardener's calendar.
Oh,
And
that's our bestseller.
she just wants you to keep putting them out, and the beautiful images she appreciates.
We will.
All right. Thanks very much for joining us today and for giving us a little forecast. We appreciate that, and keep doing what you're doing there.
It's been a joy to be on the Hoary Marmot.
There we go. Have a good one.
Thanks, Joe.